The power of the universe. The plural, the habit cure. Step 1. This is the story about the scientist, about the Lisa Allen. She was they have a power of the body because about the subconscious mind and conscious mind. This story about the thinking grow rich and about the Bob Proctor. Is the story? She was the scientist's favorite participant. Lisa Allen, according to her life, was 34 years old, had started smoking and drinking when she was 16, and had started with obesity for most of her life. At one point in her mind, 20's collection of genes were holding her to recover 10,000 in deep and all. Resumed enlisted her largest job as lasting less than a year. The woman is proud of the researchers today. However, was alien and vibrant. With the toned leg of runner, she looked at decade younger than the photo in her chart. Unlike she could out exercise anyone in the room. According to the most recent report in her field, Lisa had no outstanding debt, did a drink, and was in her 39 months at profit. Decide firm. How long since your loss, the curator? One of the physicians asked, starting down the list of questions. Lisa answered every time she came to this laboratory outside Bethesda, Maryland. Almost 4 years, she said. And I lost 60 pounds and ran a marathon since then. She also started a master's degree and job at home. It had been a peaceful stretch. The scientists in the room included neurologists, psychologists, geneticists, and sociologists. For the past 3 years, with funding from the National Institute of Health, they had a poke and prodded Lisa and more than 2,000 other farmers, smokers, chronic oberiatics problem drinkers, disabled habits. All the participants had one day in common: they had remained their life in relatively short period of time. The researchers wanted to understand how so they measure subject vital sign intelligent video camera inside their home to watches them daily, rotate circuit partition of their DNA, and with technologies that allow them to peer inside people, skill in real time, watches of blood and electrical impulses flowing through their brain with they were exposed to temptation such as cigarettes, smoke, and lavish meals. PR1. The richer searcher's goal was to figure out how habits work on neurological level and what is took to make them change. I know you to be told this story and doesn't time, the doctor said to Lisa. But some of my zoologists have only heard it second hand. Would you mind describing again how you gave up cigarettes? Sure, Lisa said. It started in Cairo. The vacation had been something of a rush decision. She explained a few months earlier. Her husband had come home from work and announced that he was leaving her because he was in love with another woman. It took Lisa a while to process the betrayal and absorb the fact that she was actually getting a divorce. That was a period of mourning, then a period of severely spraying of him following his new girlfriend around town, calling her after midnight and hanging up. Then there was the evening Lisa showing up the girlfriend house, struck pounding on her door and screaming that she was going to burn the condo down. It was a great time for me, Lisa. I had always wanted to see the pyramid, and my credit card where it makes out yet so. Oh, her first morning in Cairo, Lisa were wake out down to the sound of the call to prayer from a nearby mosque. It was pitch black inside her hotel room, hush blanched in jet legend. She reaches for a cigarette. She was so disoriented that she did not realize until the smiling burning plastic that she was trying to light a pen, not a Marlboro. She had spent the past 5 months crying bigger, eating unable to sleep and feeling unsmet, helpless, desperate, and angry at all. Was crying in bed. She broke down in was life. This move of sadness. She said, I feel like everything I had wanted had crumbled. I could even smoke right. And I started thinking about my ex-husband and how hard it would be find unhealthy I feel all the time. I get up and knock over a water jug and it's shattered on the floor, and I had started crying. I have harder. I feel desperate, like I had to change something, and less one thing I could control. She showered and left the hotel. As the ride through Carroll Road Street in a taxi and then onto the dead road leading to the the pyramid of Giza, and the base endless descent around them. Herself pity for an brave moment gave way. She needed a goal. in herself. She threw something to work toward, so that decided sitting in the taxi that she would come back to Egypt and trick through the desire. It was crazy idea, Lisa. No, she was out of shape, overweight, with no money in the bank. She did not know the name of the desert she was looking at, or in such a trip was possible. Not of that mattered. Truth needed something to focus in on. Lisa decided that she would give himself 1 year to prepare and to survive such unexpectation. She was certain she would have to make sacrifice. In particular, she would need to quit smoking. When Lisa finally made her way across the desert, 11th 11th month later, in the taxi, Lisa did not know that, and to the scientists at the laboratory, the details of her track were not really relevant, because for a reason they were just beginning to understand that one small chef. It's Lisa's perception the day in Cairo, the conviction that she'd had to give up smoking to accomplish her goal, had conscience of a series of changes that would ultimately radiate out to every part of her life. Over the next 6 months, she would replace smoking with jogging, and that in turn changed how she and Edward step. Save money, student her workday, planned for their future, and on she would start running hard marathon, and then a marathon, go back to school, buy a house, and get eventually she was received into the scientist study. And when Sir Richards began examining image of Lisa brain, they show something remarkable. Over then, one set of neurological pattern, her old habits, had been of her old behavior, but those impulses were crowded out by new or aggressive. As Lisa's habit changed, so had her brain. It was not the trip to Cairo that had caused the shift. Scientists were convinced, or the divorces, or this straight. It was that Lisa had focused on changing just one habit, smoking. At first, everyone in the study had gone through a similar process by focusing on the pattern when is known as keystone habit. Lisa had taught himself how to reprogram the other routine in her life as well. It's not just individuals who are capable of such shift when companies focus on changing habits. What organization can transport firms such as Procter and Gamble, Starbucks, Alcoa, and Target have seized on this insight to know how work gets done. The employee communicate and without customer influence. Really, realizing it's the way people shop. I want to show you one of your most recent scan of researcher. Told Lisa. Near the end of her exam, her pulls up a picture on a computer screen that showed an image from inside her head. When you see food those area I pertain to a place near the center of her brain which associates with craving and hunger are still active. Your brain still produce the angers that moves you over risk. However, their new activity in this and is pointed to the region chosen to her first has where we believe behavior inhibitions and self discipline start. The activity has become more pronounced each time you became in Lisa was the scientist's favorite participant because her brain scans were so compelling, so answerful in creating a map of where behavioral pattern habits resent with their own on mind. You're helping us understand how a decision become on automatic behavior. The doctor told her. Everyone in the room felt like they're on the brink of something important, and were when you wake up this morning. What did you do first? I did you hop in the shower? She your email on our deodorant from the kitchen counter. Did you brush your teeth before or after your towel of tea? The left or right shoes first. What did you say? Do you kids of your way out the door? Ramsey, did you trip to work when you got to your desk? Did you dial when email what with a college or jump into writing in memo salad or hamburger for a round or pour yourself and drink and eat dinner in front on the TV? All of Lisa so far as invest this definite from his but a most of habits. William James worked in 1819 page. The most of the choice we make each day may feel like the product of well-considered decision making, but they are habits and truths. Each habit may relatively little on its own over time. The meal with order what we say our kids eat night with when there we organize our truth and worth routine have enormous impact on our health, productivity, financial security, and happiness. Our paper, published by a doc in university researchers in 20, 2006, found that more than 40% of the action people perform each day were not actually decisions but habits. William James, like a found countless other from Arthurus to a proof spent much of his life trying to understand why habit exist, but only in the past two decades have scientists and marketers really become understanding how habits were, and more important, how they change. This book is divided into three parts. Of the first section focuses on how habit image within individual life is exploring the neurology of habit forming missions, how to build new habit and change old ones, and their methods. For instance, that one and once used to push toothbrushing from an obscure practice into a national obsession. In show how Procter and Campbell turned a spray name food purpose into $1 million business by taking advantage of customer habitual agonists, how alcoholic anonymous reform life but attracting habits on the course of adaptation, and how cash Tongi represent the fortune of the world's team in the national to softball of field goals. The second part examine the habit of success companies and organization. It details how an executive named Paul of Neil, before he becomes Treasury Secretary, remained a struggling aluminum manufacturer into the top perform into the downtown industrial average by focusing on one Keaton habits and how Starboard turned it out in high school trapon its so staff manager the intelling habits design to strengthen he willpower is describe why even the most talented surgeons can make catastrophic mistake when a hospital organization habits go. The third part look at the habit of scientists in recount how Martin's King and Jr. and the civil rights mo- movement succeeded in part by change the ingrid social habit of Montgomery, Alabama, and why a similar focus helped a young pastor named Rich Wards built the nation's largest church in suburb village, California. Family in a glorious turning go free. It's if become Vicar recently agreed that his habit led him to kill each chapter. Revolves around a central organic habits can be changed if we understand how they work. This book through and hundred academic studies interview which more than 300 scientists and executive and research conduct a dozen of campaigns for exit of research. Please see the books not in its focus or habits. They are technologically different. The choice that all of a deliberately make at the same pain and then stop thinking about but continue doing after every day. At one point we all consciously decided how much to each and what to focus on. When we got to be office, how often have a drink of when to go for a chat to when where stop at making choice and behavior become automatic. It's